Welcome back to San Francisco. Pat and John down here at the field, it looks beautiful, but as you two well know, 3Com Park is notorious for poor drainage and bad footing. I mean, in the time the players have been out here warming up, many have already slipped several times and gone back to the locker room to change their spikes now rather than at the half. Defensive end Grant Winstrom came out here for his pass rushing drills earlier, fell twice, got up and immediately went to the locker room to change his spikes. Now, this is something we're going to have to keep our eye on throughout the game because I played here several times, and I'll tell you, it only gets worse. Pat?
All right, DJ, thank you very much. And indeed, this is a treacherous field. And as time passes, it gets worse. Jeff Wilkins to kick off for the St. Louis Rams. This week in the NFL, all games will be played outdoors. The only time of this decade. That's amazing, isn't it?
Well, it's not only amazing, it's kind of refreshing.
McWatters at the goal line. R.W. McWatters still on his feet, breaks out of the pack, gets it back to about the 29. Stopped by Chris Thomas. And let's check out that San Francisco offensive lineup. Led by quarterback Steve Stenstrom. His ninth NFL start. In front of him, Fiore, Brown, Dahlman, Newberry, and Derek Deese. Not big, but very adept at all kinds of blocking. Stenstrom. First and 10 at the 30 for the 49ers. Charlie Gunner, the deep back, and he gets the carry. Hit right at the line of scrimmage, and let's look at a very surprisingly good Ram defensive unit. You heard John mention him a minute ago. Wistrom, Farr, Agnew, and Kevin Carter having a good year. Todd Collins, London Fletcher, and Mike Jones, the three linebackers. Fletcher is the catalyst of the defense. And there's the secondary. Devin Bush starting. Todd Light, the veteran of the group. Three wide receivers for the 49ers. Inside, Garner again got a couple.
Yeah, you were talking about Kevin Carter and what a good year he's having as a pass rusher. Anytime you have a pass rush, you try and do a couple of things to him. One is you try and run a draw on him, and the other thing you try and do is trap him. On that last play, the 49ers tried to trap Kevin Carter, and he just took on the trap and he made the play. So what they want to do is establish early to slow Kevin Carter down and make him think about other things.
Four wide receivers for the 49ers this time. This is the first pass attempt. He pump fake, and down he goes. In the arms of Ray Agnew. And the Rams are pointing the other direction, saying we got the ball, but Stenstrom had no chance.
Well, he didn't get back far enough, and you're just going to see the push is going to come on him right now. So he takes a three-step drop. Now watch the whole thing. This is a jailbreak here where it all collapses right on him. He tries to pump, but it's difficult to pump and throw deep and only take a three-step drop.
And when your pocket's collapsing, that just adds to it.
And that's exactly what happened. It collapsed on him. You either have to get rid of the ball quicker or get a little deeper or be a little more talented.
Chad Stanley back to punt for the 49ers. Not a good kick. Bounces to the hands of Hakeem, and Hakeem can really fly. And he flies all the way down to inside the 49er 35 before he's knocked out of bounds by Chad Fan. Hakeem.
He's one of those fun players to watch.
Yep. Kurt Warner. Boy, what a story this is. And a fine offensive line in front of Kurt Warner. Pace, Newton, Grudadaria, Timmerman, and Fred Miller. And the speed people, Falk, Holcomb, Holt, Bruce, and Roland Williams, the tight end. And they do a lot of moving around. Warner back to throw it. Flag on the play. Isaac Bruce had enough for a Ram first down, but there's a flag on the play.
See how quickly Kurt Warner gets rid of the ball. The first time I saw him on film, that was the thing that impressed me the most, that he gets back quickly and when that ball comes out.
Defense, number 46.
Defensive holding called against Tim McDonald. That's declined. That's a first down, Rams. They haven't swept this series since 1980. Let's look at the 49er defense. That's the front four. The three linebackers, veterans, and the secondary, not veterans. Two new members this week.
Monty Montgomery and Ramos McDonald playing corners for the first time for the 49ers. And you know that's where the Rams are going to go to work, too. I mean, the thing is, that was what Dick Vermeil says. He said the number one thing we want to do today offensively is come out and take advantage of their secondary. And that's the way they started.
Doing.
Then he said, then we'd like to build up some points and then go to the running game. Remember, that was kind of the old 49er philosophy years and years ago under Bill Walsh.
That pass complete to Marshall Faulk. Faulk's the deep back. He gets the carry. Cuts it to the 11. Kurt Warner, who has thrown league-leading number of touchdown passes, is a remarkable story and a fine, outstanding young man.
Yeah, he really only played 1 year in college in Northern Iowa as a starter, and that was his 5th year. And he was with the Green Bay Packers in training camp, then Arena Ball, then NFL Europe, and then the Rams.
And available in the expansion draft. This is Isaac Bruce around the corner. Bruce, flag on the play as Bruce got inside the 5.
Yeah, and that was a late flag that came in from behind by the referee.
The referee is Tony Corrente, and this one's against the Rams.
The referee always lines up about 15 yards on the offensive side behind the line of scrimmage and follows the play.
Holding. Offense, number 61. 10-yard penalty.
Holding on Tom Newton.
Third down.
Here's Tom Newton right here. Number 61, you see he's leading the play in the reverse. They're going to say that he held right there. I don't know about that. That looked like a combination of a pretty good block and a slip. See how you spell Newton? It's N-U-T-T-E-N, but you got these two little things up there. Those are called umlauts. So you got N, U with umlauts, T-T-E-N.
That's a German emphasis or name or whatever you want to call it.
And the referee was just following the umlauts and found Tom Newton holding.
I think they might have missed that call.
I think they imagined it.
All right, captains, we're going to have a coin toss now. This is a team, we'll call it in the air. We want a good, clean game. We're all professionals here. Does anyone have change for $1?
Want to get away? Southwest has your ticket to freedom. For only $99 or less, you can fly coast to coast when you purchase by December 15th and travel starting November 30th.
You are now free to move about the country.
Gentle, Donald, slowly. Okay, that's good.
How much you want for your pot? 500, 600.
Introducing Cozone.com, the place to find computer help and buy what's right for you.
Hey.
Vineyard really has an old barn and an old pickup, and they kind of all go together, and at the end they make wine.
Bruce goes in motion. Warner in the grasp, incomplete. Used to be the play was over when you got in the grasp, and that's changed a little bit as Brian Young put
That was
pressure.
Brian Young right there. And you're going to see, as you say, the rule used to be in the grass, and they would stop him. One thing that impresses me about Kurt Warner is he's in the grasp of Bryant Young, but he keeps playing. I mean, he keeps looking and looking and looking and trying to get something going.
Jeff Wilkins will attempt the field goal. Mike Horan, who just joined the Rams a couple of weeks ago, will hold it. He's also the punter. Wilkins used to be a 49er. And they're waving this play off.
I think, Pat, the whistle blew before the ball was even snapped, so that one's not going to count.
Dick Vermeil, who took over this job, and it looked like he was going to get him completely down for a while.
That judge had signaled timeout prior to the snap. We will replay fourth down.
You know what happened is they said that they called timeout. I don't know that just wasn't waving for the kicker. I think the 49ers were just waving for the kicker, and the official behind them thought they were signaling for timeout.
They're just trying to distract him. He hits this one a little bit better, but it's no good. Hit the upright. Hit it better in terms of distance, but not in terms of accuracy. Nothing score. We're in the first quarter. Good.
Yeah, the first one was good, and what they said, the official stopped the clock because he said it was a clock malfunction. And that's what they were explaining to Dick Vermeil, and he was arguing about that because the kick was good and the clock was stopped because the clock wasn't working properly.
Here's Stenstrom back to throw. And bang, down he goes. Hit by Grant Wistrom. Now this guy is something to watch.
He really impresses me. I mean, because he has a motor and he goes and plays like a defensive back or a linebacker. He's all over the place, and what they're doing is the same thing to Steve Stenstrom. He's not getting deep enough, or they're not protected, and they're just collapsing the pocket right on Stenstrom. He's doing that three-step drop, and with that three-step drop, that ball has to come out of there quickly. But the Ram defensive linemen, the last couple of times, have beaten him to that point.
Three wide receivers set up this time for the 49ers. Fumble the snap from center. Ball still loose. The 49ers fell on it. Derek Deese. The ball was out by itself for a while.
We talked earlier about how the 49ers come in here having lost 5 straight games, and they have no confidence whatsoever. And you want to get off, when you don't have confidence, you want to get off to a good start. And then when something like this happens, I mean, your quarterback, the pocket's collapsing, you get to a point where you can't even get the snap from center, then you finally get it, you can't keep a handle on it, then your tackle has to flop on it. That's kind of ugly football.
3rd and 20. That's ugly statistics. Here's the pass complete to Terrell Owens. Not enough for a first, they'll have to punt.
Yeah, and this is the thing that they're eventually going to have to do is to start to get the ball to Jerry Rice and to Terrell Owens and to J.J. Stokes. I mean, if they have anything left of their offense, it's those guys. But do they have the trigger to get them that ball?
Stanley back to punt. His first one today was only 35 yards. Hakeem back deep for the Rams. To about the 38, where the Rams will take over. No score as yet. It is still in the first quarter.
Love me forever.
the Lions Thanksgiving Day in Detroit. And right here on Fox, it all starts with the Blockbuster pregame show, 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific.
You know, I don't know the name of that turkey we had last year, but I know the names of the two guys carrying it. That was Willie Yarborough and Joe Mitchell carrying it.
The handoff is to Marshall Faulk, and he gets very little. He's a very impressive guy to talk to, isn't he?
You know, when I was really impressed when we did the Indianapolis Colts, and I was talking to Peyton Manning, and down there in Indianapolis they have Edgerrin James now, and you'd think they'd say, well, we got Edgerrin James, we don't miss Marshall Faulk, and Peyton Manning said, you know, I really missed Marshall Faulk because he was, you know, not only such a good player, but a very smart player. Everyone says that about Marshall Faulk, that he's one of the smartest players in the game. He knows what he does, what every other position does, and Peyton Manning says he would always get you off the hook.
3 wide receiver set up. And this is Marshall Faulk. And he just got the Rams into 49er territory. Stopped by Monty Montgomery.
And a good block by Adam Timmerman. Watch your right guard here. You're going to see him pull, and Faulk is going to get right in behind him and make the break off of his block. See him pull, boom, right there. He makes that block, and Faulk just got right in behind number 62, Adam Timmerman, and then just broke right off that block.
First down Rams at the 49er 48. Warner, the quarterback, gives again to Faulk. Another first down and more.
Yeah, we were asking Marshall Faulk yesterday about the turf and if that bothers him. And he says, no, he says, I just go out and play.
Yeah,
and
we all got to play on the same turf.
Everyone plays on the same turf. And he said, if I fall down, I just get up and do it again. And you can see here what balance he has. You know, and if you do have balance and your feet are always going, you're not going to slip and slide. It's when you get your feet close together or twisting is when you slide.
Remember Dick Vermeil saying to us last night, sometimes we do so many things we forget about the run.
Well, I think that's, you know, you get enamored with your shifts and your passing game and all that you forget to do it, and he doesn't want to forget to do it today.
And he hasn't. Robert Holcomb this time as Faulk gets a rest.
You know, and the offensive line likes that too. I mean, you got a quarterback, and last time they played, he threw 5 touchdowns against his team. Isaac Bruce caught 4 touchdown passes, but that big offensive line, they like that run block. You see 62 Timmerman there? He just pulled and made that block, and he's feeling good about himself. You see, and then next to him is Fred Miller. He feels good about the running. Orlando Pace feels good because they're running in there behind him.
2nd and 6.
They're not going to run now. They don't have any backs in the backfield.
Warner. Incomplete. Intended for Ricky Prohl, who slipped down.
Yeah, he had good coverage on him.
Did.
Yeah, Lee Woodall, the linebacker. That's the guy that you always want to look for. You know, when you get 4 wide receivers, you see 3 over on this side, you always want to go to the guy that's on the linebacker right here. And that's exactly what he did, which was a pretty good decision when the ball was thrown a little high.
Didn't look like he really saw the ball.
When you get, you know, that's what Kurt Warner's on. He sees 54 on his wide receiver. There's a slip.
There's another slip by Marshall Faulk. Here comes the field goal unit back out again. The 49ers stiffen.
Because he never got turned that time. You see, he starts out here, and he doesn't get his shoulder square. You see, he starts to make that cut to get back in, and there's no way you can do it on this field.
No.
That is a cut you can make on an artificial turf field. You can't make it here.
Wilkins hits this one. And the Rams, after flashing back and forth, finally get points on the board.
Yeah, it's great. Our next caller is Sarah, whose boyfriend has lost interest ever since he won the new Donkey Kong 64 from Dr. Pepper.
Let's see what we're dealing with.
Out of, because I think the ones they make wine out of, they've already picked. I think, I don't living around here, and you know, Dick Vermeil's from that country.
Yeah, I
Up in
know,
the,
yeah.
wine country, but I think they pick in October.
McWaters. Out of bounds at about the 27, 28-yard line. Todd Light knocked him out of bounds. 3-0. The Rams over the 49ers. The Monster.com blimp. Monster.com is the leading global carrier's website with over 4 million members worldwide. Are you a member yet?
No, What is it?
Monster.com.
You mean to get a job?
If you want a job?
No, I don't.
What do you got a job?
I know, that's why I don't want to be a member. Heck, I want to be a member for it.
Cutting it back is Charlie Garner. The ex-Eagle who had
There's Ricky Prohl there, Pat. You can see Dick Vermeil is talking to him. Remember on that play that he went down. In fact, we'll see it right here. He hurt his right shoulder. You see, he kind of
landed right on it.
Yeah, Lee Woodall had a hold of the right arm, so the only thing that could hit when Ricky Prohl went down is right on the shoulder.
Garner again. Squirts to the outside. Todd Collins finally brought him down. Charlie Garner, I guess, had his best day ever as a pro against the 49ers for the Philadelphia Eagles years ago. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Charlie Garner is a guy who can be a real good back if he can stay healthy. I mean, there's never been, when Charlie Garner is healthy and going, he's always capable of gaining 100 yards in a game, but it's just staying healthy that's been a problem for Charlie Garner. This on Steve Stenstrom. Sacked twice, hurried 3 times, knocked down twice. We're just starting.
That's Fred Beasley, the ball carrier this time on first down, and he might have gotten a yard.
You know, I've always thought when you have a backup quarterback like Steve Stenstrom, you have to do like the Dallas Cowboys did last week against Green Bay. You have to give him something deep. I mean, there's Steve Young there. He's charting the plays. And I think because if you don't, then they think they're just going to throw that short stuff. They're just going to run the ball. They're just going to dink it. And when that does, it shrinks the defense on you and darn near makes it impossible to do anything. I think somewhere you got to throw the ball, stretch them out, and make them defend the whole field.
Rams faking and showing blitz. That's Garner back in the game. To the 45, 46-yard line. Picked up a couple.
You know, Steve Young got here early, and he was out here working out, and we saw him running the stands. And in fact, here's a picture of him running the stands. And then he gets a little side there. You know, you look at him, Steve Young, because he hasn't played for a while, is looking a little more like a lawyer than he is a quarterback.
Well, he doesn't look like a guy that. How many attorneys have you seen running up and down the stands, though?
Yeah, but I don't think Steve Young is going to come back this year, and I don't think Steve Young will play again. I really don't.
Terrell Owens lost the ball, and the Rams pick it up. And the Rams have it back. That's Devin Bush. And Bush out of bounds at midfield. Owens took the completion from Stenstrom. Had the 49ers deep in Ram territory, and all of a sudden, as things happen to teams when things are going bad, they happen like this.
You watch Steve Stenstrom, he does what he has to. He gets that ball perfectly in there to Terrell Owens. Owens does what he has to, but he didn't have to change the ball there. You see, what he got caught in is changing the ball. He's taking the ball out of his left hand to put it in his right hand. He should have just left it in his left hand and covered it up with his right hand. You know, because at the end, there's going to be a lot of guys on the sidelines, and you got to protect that ball. There's a Ram players watching it on the big screen on the sideline.
Warner. Out of bounds. Bruce, I believe it was, came up with a catch.
Holy moly.
I'm sorry, it was not Bruce.
That was still a heck of a throw and a heck of a catch
really
by Torrey Holt. But I mean, this ball, there's Monty Montgomery is running stride for stride with him, and Holt just jumps up in the air. He looked like Randy Moss on that play. Torrey Holt just jumps up in the air and takes it right off Monty Montgomery's head.
Yeah, he lost the ball and he hit the ground.
Yeah, but that was still a heck of a throw.
Oh,
a heck of a play by Torrey Holt.
Now the Rams think he might be, in days to come, even better than Isaac Bruce.
I don't know. I mean, if he can get to where he can be as close to Isaac Bruce, that's going to be very, very good.
That's going to be awesome. Warner under pressure. Still under pressure. Fires upfield. Pass caught by Marshall Faulk. Flag on the play.
Listen to all the talk. It's not a catch. He's inbounds. He's out of bounds. You have to be impressed with Kurt Warner, how he stays with play. That's the second time we've seen that.
It is whatever it is. It's against the Rams. I didn't see the signal. I know that Dick Vermeil doesn't care for the decision.
You try and let him tell you, and then you wait. He fakes you.
Ineligible receiver downfield, I believe.
Touching of the forward pass. The receiver had gone out of bounds, come back in, and was first to touch. The pass will be ruled incomplete. Third down.
If you go out of bounds, you can't come back in.
Yeah, you can come back in. You see, here his foot is outside. So now he can't come back in and be the first to touch the ball.
Right.
So that's when you usually see a hat down there when that happens.
Third down and 10. And Warner drops throws to Isaac Bruce. Lost his balance, slipped down. Try to get back up, and right now for an update, let's go to Los Angeles and James Brown.
Pat, an injured Emmitt Smith had 43 yards rushing on this drive here, which culminated in Jason Garrett to David LaFleur, 11 yards. Cowboys on top by 7. And in Washington, Stephen Davis caps off a Washington Redskins drive with his NFL-leading 15-touchdown run. 7-0 Washington. Pat and John.
Going into the day, Dallas, Washington, and the Giants all tied for first place in the NFC East.
You know, and that last play, when Kurt Warner, you can see him limping here a little. He got hit on that play. Watch him. He's in there, and he throws the ball, and now it looks like Charles Haley. I think that's Charles Haley comes and just falls right on his knee.
On his right knee.
And you can see that thing gave, and then he stands up and
grabbed his ankle.
Well, he starts to grab it. You're not sure exactly. When you get collapsed upon like that, you're not exactly sure what it is. You can see which one's the head coach. I mean, he's always over there the most concerned when a quarterback is injured.
Got the Earl Morrow haircut.
In fact, he looks a little like Earl Morrow, doesn't he? He sure does.
A yard.
Now Stenstrom can be getting a little confidence now, because that last pass that he threw was to Terrell Owens, and what would have been a big play had Owens not fumbled it.
That's the end of the first quarter with the score of the Rams 3, the 49ers nothing. Fox NFL Sunday from San Francisco will continue after these messages. As we begin the second quarter, 49ers have the ball at their own 22. Second down, about 8.
They say that Kurt Warner's okay, Pat, after that hit after Charles Haley collapsed on his knee.
Stenstrom back to throw it, scrambling out and around, and gets it out to Fred Beasley.
That was one of of the things that Steve Stenstrom was talking about yesterday that they want to do a little more today is kind of move the pocket, and get him to the outside. And that was a bootleg type of thing to roll, and where he's just not in the pocket. And you could see that he had some trouble earlier in the pocket, and I think because he didn't get deep enough, really didn't have the pass protection.
3rd and 6.
But somehow he has to get the ball Terrell Owens or Jerry Rice here. I mean, they don't have a lot left on this 49er offense, but those are two guys that they do have left.
Stenstrom intended for Rice, who saw it go through his hands.
You don't see a lot of those with Jerry Rice missing, dropping passes. Maybe since his rookie year. Remember when he was a rookie, he dropped a few, but then he went a whole heck of a lot of years, like 14 more years, and
14 great years,
and didn't drop any, and that was a pretty good throw. I mean, Jerry Rice or anyone has to catch that ball.
Chad Stanley back to punt. Talking to Jerry Rice, which we did on Saturday morning, you get the feeling that I can't believe how lucky I've been to be in this league for 15 years and only have the one serious injury. And he has indeed been a great one. Not the greatest of all time. 3-0. Detroit, we can feed everybody in the Silverdome.
Yeah, we're going to take a few of those turkeys with us, and do you think that they know what's coming up in 4 days, those turkeys? Oh, they're way too happy.
Warner.
I don't know who Kurt Warner was throwing to on that one. We were talking about the Rams and what they do, and if you look, they have 6 offensive packages that they interchange all the time. Regular, that's 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 running backs. Deuce, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Tank, 1 wide receiver, 2 tight ends, 2 running backs. Nickel, 3 wide receivers. Trio, 3 wide receivers, 2 backs. Quads, 4 wide receivers. And they change those packages up every down.
You ought to do a fast-talking commercial. Marshall Faulk, the ball carrier.
I knew that the play was coming right up. And now we're going to look at them and see what they've done so far. They've run regular formation 6 times. They haven't run deuce yet. That's 2 tight ends. They haven't used tank yet because that's a goal line thing. They haven't gotten it. They used nickel 3 times, trio 5 times, and quads 2 times. That's Mike Martz, who's the offensive coordinator of the Rams and a guy who's kind of brought this offense to St. Louis.
3rd and 10. The pressure. Warner, incomplete. Intended for Faulk.
That's the thing that Peyton Manning was talking about Marshall Faulk. Kurt Warner is getting a lot of pressure.
Yes, he is.
I mean, the 49ers haven't done that. You see the first guy in there is Charles Haley. You see that move that he made?
Yep.
He just jumped right to the inside and got the pressure. Fred Miller goes outside. Charles Haley jumps inside, and that made Kurt Warner bring the ball down, but he's still looking, and the guy that he finds is Marshall Faulk.
R.W. McQuarters back for Horan's punt, signals fair catch. The 49ers will take over just inside their own 20, or just at the 20. 3-0 the score.
Hello, I'm Bill Dwyer. Welcome to NFL Game Day 2000. With me
is there. That's why so many people are playing. Stenstrom. Pass complete to Greg Clark.
One of the things that Steve Young isn't playing now, but he stays in the game, and you have to like that about Steve Young. I mean, he's down there talking to Steve Stenstrom, and and he's had so many years of experience that he can add that. Even though he can't get out there, he can just give Steve Stenstrom a few of the things that he's seeing and a few of the things that he's charting down there.
Steve Young, one of those guys who loved playing the game. He had a good time. Great to see him still involved. Garner. Jerry Rice during the last commercial controversial timeout. Change shoes.
Yeah, this is a tough place to play. You know, they keep changing the more slippery the field, then the longer cleats that you want. And they have, half-inch cleats, 5/8-inch cleats, or 3/4-inch cleats, and eventually most of the players will be wearing 3/4-inch cleats.
Yeah.
2nd and 10, Stenstrom back to throw. Hurried. Incomplete. Deflected. Almost intercepted by Dexter McClean.
That's the thing. In fact, Steve Stenstrom, he even slipped going back there. And I think, this is a tough place to play. I mean, you talk about the field and being slick and slippery, but you also have the wind here.
Yep.
And the wind, you don't know which way it's going. It kind of circles. In fact,
and it's pretty windy today.
Right. If you just look at the punters, I mean, the longest punt we've had today has been 38 yards. And it's easy to say, they ought to throw deep, they ought to throw this, and I mean, it's tough. I mean, the slippery field and throwing into the wind is very, very difficult. And then having guys rush you and blitzing and those all kinds of things.
St. Louis.
It's not easy being a quarterback here.
Timeout, Rams. They got a call before that play got underway.
This is kind of a rough way to call timeout. He calls timeout, gives a left elbow, and then keeps calling timeout.
3-0.
Are you lost? An old line coach, huh? In fact, Jim Hannaford went to college right here, right across the bay, or right down the road, across the bay and down the road at the University of California.
Didn't he lead the country in pass reception?
In pass reception, yeah. He was a receiver at Cal. In fact, a very good one. And like you said, he led the country one year.
3rd and 10 at their own 32. Stenstrom back to throw. Incomplete, a flag on the play. That's going to help the 49ers cause.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 32. Automatic. First down.
Yeah, one thing that the Rams are doing is they're letting the 49ers stay in this game. By types of plays like this and by getting down there and not scoring. You see the penalty right there. And then the longer they stay in the game, the better shot they have and the more confidence they will get. When you have a team that's lost 5 in a row and doesn't have any confidence, you want to jump on them right off the bat, and the Rams haven't done that to the 49ers.
Jukes his way out of bounds after he picked up 3.
I'll tell you, that was a great block by J.J. Stokes. I mean, watch J.J. Stokes. Well, look here first. Here's the tackle. Fiore blocking. Since right there is a block that I was talking about. Fiore started out, he blocked Wiskram, but watch J.J. Stokes come in there, doink.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is one that took a few of them, and that'll open a little hole for you.
That'll make you very conscious of where he is.
You'll always take a peek to the outside after one of those happen to you.
2 tight ends set up for the 49ers now. The fake is to Garner, and the throw is across the field to Owens, who gets on out of bounds at about the 37-yard line, 36 of the Rams.
That play was designed to go deep to Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice was deep, but he was double covered. So here comes Terrell Owens underneath, and Stenstrom hits him perfectly. Just see, Terrell Owens was upset. He didn't think he was that close to the sideline, and he was getting ready to turn up. And there he was out of bounds. Steve Stenstrom made a good throw. I mean, he hit Terrell Owens like the way Joe Montana used to do, just hit the guy right in stride.
First down, it's Garner. And Garner gets across the 35, about the 34. The 49ers, as you say, John, You let them stay in the game. Let any team stay in the game and keep staying in the game, and they start gaining confidence.
And that's what's happening because they come into this game with a lack of confidence. And like I said, they lose 5 straight games. They're changing quarterbacks. They're changing cornerbacks. They're doing everything, just trying to get some match to work. And then they're starting to get in sync a little now.
2nd and 8. Charlie Garner to the 10, to the 5.
Another good block by J.J. Stokes down there, and Jeremy Newberry, the right guard. He started it out. That was that counter Trey type of thing. Right guard pulled, Newberry pulled, and he gets a hole for him. Watch Newberry, he's right here. You see, he's going to come around there, and he's going to make the block right there. And that's the one that got Charlie Garner started. Then J.J. Stokes gets 1 block, J.J. Stokes gets 2 blocks, and those will make long runs.
30-yard gain, a 30-yard run by Garner. 1st and goal at the 5 for San Francisco. At the 4, make it. Garner's the deep back. And he gets the carry and touch to the 1.
I tell you, this 49er offensive line is starting to do a job here. We saw Newberry make the block then, and then we're going to see Chris Gallman and Newberry right here get the block. So you see they block back. Look at that hole right there. Charlie Garner has a good feel for those types of things. Charlie Garner is a little back. He's only 5'9", 187 pounds, but he is a powerful guy, and he is still a good inside runner.
2nd and goal. Just outside the 1. Beasley into the end zone, touchdown. And the first one in a long time for the 49ers.
First one in 52 possessions. There's going to be some good celebrating going on down there.
Nobody they'd rather do it against than the Rams, who were more intense rivals when they were in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Steve Stenstrom did a good job of throwing. He got that one to Terrell Owens. Charlie Garner did a good job of running. And the offensive line on this series kind of took over.
Yep. Extra point good. And the 49ers take the lead. 7-3 over the Rams. The 49ers over the Rams. Beautiful afternoon in San Francisco.
Yeah, from that shot from the blimp, you can even see Oakland.
Yeah. Your house is over there somewhere.
Well, the stadium where I coached a lot of games, I know, is over there. Well, they got that old kicker ball thing. Remember the new rule this year that the footballs that the kickers kick are not rubbed down. They're just right out of the box and brought out. And someone was making a point that it won't stay on the tee. After the second, he got that thing all squeezed down. It still didn't work. After the second time, you have to bring in a holder. So what the 49ers will do now is they'll bring in someone just to hold the ball on the tee. Usually the guy that you bring in as a holder is a safety.
Right.
And that doesn't affect your coverage. So
it affects the kicker something.
Well, you see, he's giving him a lesson right there is to don't hold it. Don't hold it hard. Just get your finger on so it'll stay there. And don't flinch and don't look.
Tony Horn.
Maybe that did have. Maybe that hole did have.
It does
have an effect on it. That looked like the last shot out of a Roman candle. What the heck was that?
The great views you're seeing of the city and the game are being brought to us this afternoon by the Monster.com blimp. Monster.com is the leading global careers website with over 240,000 jobs available. Could one of them be right for you?
No, but Dre Bly on that kickoff, that is a rule that we just saw here that when a ball goes up like that, you can fair catch a kickoff.
Yes, you can.
And we just saw Bly fair catch a kickoff.
So it's Ram ball at the 28, 29-yard line. It pitches back to Marshall Faulk. Faulk looked like he had a big hole, and it closed quickly.
You know, we look at that last drive, a very good drive by the 49ers, and J.J. Stokes was a big part of it with the first block and then these two blocks here that got Charlie Garner down close to the goal line.
Set up that 30-yard run.
I always think of wide receivers and how many passes they catch and how many yards they make and all that stuff, but that blocking, they don't have a stat for it, but it's pretty doggone important.
J.J. Stokes, a big guy. 6'5". Warner, pass caught by Faulk out of the backfield. None better than he is at that.
And the Rams look like they're just kind of picking here. You know, that they're trying this, they're trying that, and they haven't gotten down to anything where they're settling into what they're going to do or what they're going to be. That's Mike White there, the assistant head coach, talking to Dick Vermeil, and they're probably trying to settle this offense down. They're having trouble, you know, picking up third downs and doing those kind of things.
They have a first now, and Faulk picks up just a couple.
You know, we talked about Jim Hanifin being from Cal, and then we see Dick Vermeil down there. He was a coach one time at Stanford, and before the game, he was sitting on the bench with the old Stanford coach John Ralston. John Ralston, of course, coached at Stanford, and then coached the Denver Broncos and San Jose State. And then, of course, Stanford yesterday beat Cal in the big game, and Stanford's going to the Rose Bowl, so congratulations to all the Stanfords.
Big football weekend around here with that game, and now this one. This Ram 49er rivalry used to be one of the best ones in the NFL. Then they moved to St. Louis, and it's lost some of its luster, but they still don't like each other. Pass incomplete, intended for Torrey Holt.
And Torrey Holt fell down. And these are the types of things when you don't play on a field and you don't come out and practice. That's why I used to always like to go a day early and practice so that stuff like this wouldn't happen. You know, that when a receiver goes to make a cut and he gets his feet out in front of him and he goes to make the cut, he'll fall down. You kind of have to keep your shoulders over your feet. If you get your shoulders up straight, then you usually go backwards like Torrey Holt just did on that play.
The Rams have only played one game this year on grass. That's Faulk. Other than this one.
Well, I know that last night when we were talking to Dick Vermeil, he was saying that Isaac Bruce doesn't play as well on grass as he does artificial turf, and looks like this whole Ram offense so far hasn't. They're adjusting to it, but that's a good thing about Marshall Faulk. You see, I mean, he just finds a hole, comes under control, you know, gives the quarterback an outlet.
I think with all this speed, the Rams have to be a stronger team when they're on artificial turf. Warner gets the ball downfield to Isaac Bruce. First down.
Yeah, the one thing, it all starts here with the protection. You watch the offensive line, they had a little trouble, but now they're given, watch that line there, and you see the time that he had, not only the time to look downfield, but then when he finds this guy, Isaac Bruce, to be able to step into it and throw the ball down there.
Just inside the 25-yard line, two tight ends set up for the Rams. This time, Gabe Wilkins made the stop.
At 45 is the second tight end, Jeff Robinson. That's an interesting thing. He was a defensive end, and he was in the defensive rotation, and then they made a tight end out of him, and now he's the second tight end, and they move him all over the place. I mean, you'll see big old Jeff Robinson. He weighs 275 pounds, but he'll be split out as a wide receiver sometime.
He's also the deep snapper for field goals, extra points, and punts as well.
He's also a lead blocker, as he was on that last play, and a tight end on this play.
Isaac Bruce, the intended target. He was the target. Receiver.
It would have been interesting if they would have thrown that ball to big old Jeff Robinson. Because here you can see when the quarterback looks all the way to the receiver, you're going to have a whole bunch of people arrive at the same time. That was kind of Kurt Warner's fault. Then you got to look off a little. You know, you can't just stare down one receiver like he did on that play and not expect a convergence of the defense, especially when they're playing zone defense like the 49ers are.
First meeting between these two teams. Kurt Warner had 3 touchdown passes in the first quarter.
Hey, one thing, we talked about the 49ers and, starting Ramus McDonald and Monty Montgomery, 2 new corners. They're really doing a good job today. I mean, they're adjusting there. The 49ers are playing mostly zone, and they've gotten, a little pass rush, and the defense is playing a heck of a lot better.
A reminder that coming up on the Visa Halftime Report, J.B. Terry, Howie, and Chris will have scores and highlights from around the league. And our Fox Sports ticker will have up to second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa Halftime Report.
In the pregame show today, Howie Long had an interesting thing. He was talking about how a young player comes in and he feels good, but he doesn't know. It's kind of like the elevator, is down on the, mental part of it, but it's up on the physical. And then as it comes down on the physical, it goes up on the mental, and you kind of hope that they meet in the middle. And that was where Steve Young said he was this year before he had that concussion.
And Howie Long said all that?
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting thing. I mean, he used elevators. You got one elevator, the intelligent one coming up, and the physical one because you're getting beaten up going down in the NFL.
Offside, defense, number 91. Player was unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Yeah, so then, you kind of hope that by the time you learn the game, that you have enough physical to play the game. In fact, he was talking about Emmitt Smith, and Emmitt Smith said he thinks that his 2 elevators are right even right now. That his mental and physical. Well, he got a broken hand, but he's playing with a broken hand. But he said he got an even elevator.
That's an illustration I never heard before. Kurt Warner on the quarterback draw down to about the 3.
Yeah, and that was even less than a 3-step drop. One thing on a quarterback draw, you want your quarterback to have a little patience.
You want to get those elevators even.
And you see right here, there's no one in the backfield, so you say, okay, there's no run. So now he's going to come back here, sit here, get these guys to rush the passer, and then just run right by him. See, because when there's no one in the backfield, the guys say, I can just rush. There's no runner. So they start to rush, and boom, he hits him with that quarterback draw.
He got down to where it's 1st and goal. And Warner's throw. Touchdown to Isaac Bruce. The Rams capture the lead.
Well, they finally got their drive going that they needed. Quarterback draw down there by Kurt Warner, and then he comes back and he moves again on this one. You see him, he's going to roll left. Isaac Bruce is just running a quick out, and look at who they got on him. They got the linebacker, Lee Woodall, and that's the matchup that Kurt Warner's been looking for all day.
The extra point's good. And the Rams lead it.
See how quickly Isaac Bruce breaks off of that thing? I mean, that's the thing. You talk about speed and you always think of it as going deep, but it's also speed of creating separation. And that's exactly what Isaac Bruce did.
His 11th touchdown reception of this year.
I remember about 4 years ago when I thought I rated wide receivers for some reason, and Jerry Rice I thought was the best wide receiver in football, and I thought Isaac Bruce was number 2. And he started getting those hamstring pulls and all that stuff, and now he's back, he's healthy, he got over that, and he's still one of the best wide receivers in football.
Seems like the last couple of years he had problems with those hamstrings, something that started in training camp and would last as he tried to come back too soon. But they trouble him all year long.
And I think, that was a big part of it. And not having a quarterback like Kurt Warner.
Yep.
When you have, that was Kurt Warner's, 27th touchdown pass. And when you have a guy like that, the last time they played the 49ers, throws 4 touchdown passes to Isaac Bruce and throws one now in this first half. That'll keep those hamstrings warmed up too for you.
Getting in the end zone. Look how far he runs to kick the ball.
Well, he walks a while.
A 15-yard approach. McWaters at the 5. Out of bounds at about the 30. Tonight on Fox, a string of bizarre murders leads agents Mulder and Scully on a search for a predator with an appetite for human flesh. The X-Files, an all-new episode tonight at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, here on Fox. 10-7.
He's quite a guy, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
And
quite a story.
Well, and over the years, players have gotten here in the National Football League in a lot of different ways, and Kurt Warner is those guys that came in ways that I don't know that anyone else ever has.
Arena Football League, Green Bay.
Sorry.
NFL Europe. Charlie Garner stopped by Wistrom.
And look where Kurt Warner is in the history of the NFL. In their first 10 games, Dan Marino threw 29 touchdown passes. Sid Luckman for the Chicago Bears threw 28. Y.A. Tittle with the Giants, the old 49er quarterback, threw 27. Darryl LaMonica with me was 27. Brett Favre 27. And now Kurt Warner is in that crowd. That's not bad.
Just ahead of John Unitas.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Here's Sexton. Hold it down. Kevin Carter didn't even know he didn't have the ball.
And Kevin Carter didn't even know that he got a sack.
Yes.
He's going to get one on this play. Here's Kevin Carter here. And, if you just keep working, you see he starts on a stunt there. DeMarco Farr goes to the outside. Kevin Carter comes to the inside. Then he goes back outside. I don't know that Kevin Carter knew that Stenstrom still had the ball.
He thought he threw it.
I know. He's looking
up the field.
Yeah. He didn't know if it was a penalty or not. Farr said, hey, you did good.
10-7, Ram lead. 2. Pat Summerall, John Madden. Rams 10. San Francisco 7. Stenstrom gets on the draw play to Garner. Garner hits it up.
There enough for the first down, but they did get pretty good position for their punter. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, they had third and real long, but at least they got where wind is a problem here, and you see it in the kicking game, and we're going to see it right now that they're not going to get long punts, they're not getting deep kickoffs. So by picking up 10 yards there, they'll pick up 10 yards on this punt.
Hakeem looking into the sun, feels it. We'll get one block. We'll lose ground back to the 20.
And now the combination of that draw play by Charlie Garner and that punt there, those were 2 good favorable things for the 49ers.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime Report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have scores and highlights from around the league. And our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. That's all coming up on that Visa Halftime Report.
So I don't know at halftime if Howie's going to have time to explain that elevator thing, but I understand it, and I don't know if I can explain it, but where the physical and the mental kind of meet.
How are the elevators marked?
Well, you're going to see what happened to Peterson right there. Little just got him with the right shoulder, and he didn't see that thing coming.
Warner gets it across the middle. The Torrey Holt goes out of bounds. That'll stop the clock after a pickup of about 6 yards. Ramos McDonald made the stop.
Yeah.
Going here with no huddle.
Second and 4.
They're huddling up.
Well, they got the clock stopped, so.
And they didn't have to go no huddle. They started to go no huddle. And he realized that he didn't have to go no huddle because the clock was stopped. This is a quad set they're in now.
Warner. Flag on the play. Hakeem made the reception, but there was a penalty marker down. Holding against the Rams.
And I'm still impressed with Kurt Warner, though, the way, he's so calm in the pocket and delivers it so quickly. I mean, you have to be able to play in this league today. You have to be able to get rid of the ball quickly.
Offense, number 76. 10-yard penalty, repeat.
Yeah, he was talking. You were asking about the time he spent with Green Bay and what did he learn there. And he said, I learned that physically I can play on this level.
Yeah, and then I think he learned that quickness and that release in arena football because you have all those things that everything has to be quick. And he played 3 years in that league.
On the draw to Marshall Faulk. Faulk under control, gets out to about the 23. Lee Woodall.
You're talking about Kurt Warner here and how calm he is in the pocket. He's even calm when he sees a flag come in. He's look over his shoulder.
I think you call that disdain.
Yeah, well, he knew that he did what he had to do. I mean, he got back there and completed the pass. And when he saw that flag come in, he said, well, it's probably offensive holding because it was against Orlando Pace, who was standing right next to him.
This is a 49er timeout. The Rams don't have any. Good day to be sailing. You ever do that?
No, it's not. No, you never want to be sailing. I mean, what are those guys don't know there's a game going on? I mean, how could you be out there sailing when there's football being played?
Maybe they got the TV set on.
No, they don't have any. No, a sailboat that small, I guarantee you, has no TV. That has nothing. They got a box lunch.
Let's get word to them they shouldn't be out there. The pass from Warner to Hakeem is complete. And we still have a minute and 14 seconds left to play in the first half.
You watch Oz Hakeem here. He just showed good move there. He started up the field and he had the good speed and good quickness. And he faked one way like he was going to the post and then went to the corner. Oz Hakeem is a second-year guy out of San Diego State.
First down at the 40 from the spread. Warner comes out of the pocket, has to, fires upfield, incomplete, out of bounds.
He's being chased. He had to get rid of that one. One thing that you talked about earlier, Pat, and I agree that you take a team like the Rams that are built on speed, and it really goes with artificial turf. Yeah. And then you get them here, and they still have the same speed, they still have the same quickness, but the field kind of controls it a little. And I think that's up to 49ers.
The cutting ability. Warner throws, got a man open, he gets out of bounds. That's Isaac Bruce. They get into 49er territory.
Oh, Ramos McDonald, the corner out there, had way too much respect for Isaac Bruce. As I said earlier, he's one of the best, but I mean that is a cushion. I mean, he's off there 10 yards and then he keeps going back. Now he's off about 10 yards still when the ball is thrown.
Yeah. Bruce knocked out of bounds.
There's a point, where you respect speed and you give him a little cushion, but at that point, he's right up there on him this time, Ramos McDonald is.
Warner in the pocket. Gets it to Chris Thomas, complete. Didn't get the clock stopped this time. And it's running with 50 seconds left. Now he's saying hurry.
Yeah, but I think he has to run a play here. He did that. That wasted it down because it was second down. So now that's going to make it third down. I think in a situation like that he should have run a play. I mean, he should have had a pass, even if it was, you just throw the ball, try and get an out or something to get a first down, because you do have to get a first down. And third down hasn't been a good down for him. You look at it today, they're only 1 out of 6.
3rd and 4. Warner drops, throws, and a pass is incomplete. Hakeem.
And that'll be interesting here. Do they go for it on 4th down, or do they try the field goal?
I think they got to go for it.
That's why I thought, that second down, that he should have tried to play instead of spiking it, because he creates this situation for himself. It would be about a 50-yard field goal.
And the tricky wind, they're going to go.
Right now, they'd like to have that down back.
38 seconds. Warner fires, the pass is caught. Torrey Hope. And they get the first down and hurry it up.
Now he can spike it because he got the first down.
And now he does.
That Torrey Holt is something, I mean, he's not only has speed, but he's a pretty strong guy. I mean, he got inside on that slant, and that's what he has to do. If you're going to get that slant, and you're a wide receiver, it's right here. Now watch, it has to be that first step. See, like right there, he has to get in that position so there's quarterback can get him the ball.
Great catch,
If you stay out there and don't get a little push and don't get to the inside, you don't have a chance to make that play.
24 seconds. No timeouts left for the Rams. Pump fake, going deep, incomplete, flag on the play. That's what they hope for. Hope, the intended receiver.
There is no penalty on the play.
There is no penalty.
Uncatchable.
That's what you see when he waves his hand. He was going to call a defensive penalty on that play. The official was, but then when he looked at the ball, he thought there was no way that he could catch it anyway. So he throws the flag, and then he puts his hand above his head, and that means it was over his head. He wouldn't have caught it anyway, so therefore there's no penalty.
3rd and 10. This one should be in the end zone or out of bounds or somewhere with them, so they'll get time to get their field goal unit on the field.
I think the first thing you said, Pat, it has to be in the end zone.
The throw is out of bounds. Got him a little closer and stops the clock. That's hold again with 14 seconds.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is throw that sideline. I don't think you can throw it inside, but you can throw that sideline. There he has Ramus McDonald on him again. He gets a little push, and Kurt Warner gets it in there perfectly.
First down.
Dick Vermeil has decided to take a shot. Now here, I think you take a shot in the end zone now before you kick the field goal. I think this is smart. I mean, I would do the same thing, but you have to get it in the end zone. You can't take a sack, and you can't throw it to the inside.
Whistle blows.
This play will be reviewed.
The previous play is reviewed. The out-of-bounds catch, or close to out-of-bounds catch that stopped the clock. They've asked for a review of that play. I thought he was in bounds, made the catch, and then went out of bounds.
It looked like it from here.
Yeah. What I thought, what you thought, doesn't really matter.
Well, it's what the official sees right here. Here's Torrey Holt. He has to have possession. He has possession. What they're saying now, Pat, is they're reviewing the measurement. In other words, was it a first down?
What was the situation before that? It was third down. They don't want him to have that shot at the end zone is what they don't want.
But I don't know what he's going to look at unless it's right on the 5-yard line, because that side is not the official side. The official ones are on this side.
Now Now he's looking in, so time has started.
But I still don't know. If we look at it again, I think that he has to use as his barometer the 5-yard line, because the first down is on the yard line. So is he above the yard line?
Well, that's the 15 right there.
Coin flip.
And it's this line right here, because you can see that the markers on both sides of the field are on the line. So was he has to get, you see he's marking it right there.
Yeah.
He marked it above the line, then he stepped back, then he went back up again.
That's where he marked it right there.
The first time?
That's where he put his foot.
Yeah, and then he went back, and then he came back again. There he catches the ball, he goes out of bounds there. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
The play stands as ruled on the field. First down.
Yeah, he had to use that line as the barometer, and then he decided that he was beyond the line, so therefore it was a first down.
14 seconds left now. Now this, back to that shot. He got to take a shot at the end zone.
In the end zone.
Fall. Now he can't stop the clock.
But he does have a first down.
He does have a first down.
So he can spike the ball.
He better hurry.
Oh, that is tight. That's as tight as you can get. And I don't know that I would do that. I mean, I think the two things that I figured you couldn't do is take a sack or do what they did there and not get the ball in the end zone. I think on that play you have to throw it into the end zone to stop the clock, because that is really flirting with it.
1 second on the clock. But if it works out, and it does, they get the field goal when things are going right, and your record is as good as the Rams. Those are the kind of things that go your way.
Yeah, and I think it's a good offense too, that you make the play, then get up and spike it.
A very calm offense. The Rams go to the locker room leading 13-7. 13-7. Bright day in San Francisco and south of San Francisco. Candlestick Point. Halftime statistic.
Well, you look, the Rams have the lead in the passing yards, and they have the lead in the total yards and the first downs. They haven't had any turnover, but it seems like to me that they haven't been able to keep drives together. That third down has been a problem. Getting penalties have been a problem, and the 49ers have hung in there, and the Rams have kind of let them hang in there.
And they're still in there. Halftime score 13-7.
You look at how much different Kurt Warner was in this game. You look at week 5, the first time they played, he was 20 out of 23 for 323 yards and 5 touchdowns. Today he's 14 out of 27, 148 yards and 1 touchdown. One of the things we talked about Steve Stenstrom starting is that I think when you start a new quarterback, you lose your quarterback, you play when you back up, somewhere you have to stretch the defense. And you can see that in the first half that they only threw 1 ball over 15 yards.
Well, you get the idea. The defense gets confidence that he's not going to try anything any longer than that.
Yeah, you can see it's 5 out of 6 for under 15 yards, and then only threw 1 ball. It was 0 for 1. But I think, real or imagine, you have to make it a threat. You have to make them think and play the whole field and stretch, and that you're going to. And you do have Terrell Owens, and you do have Jerry Rice, and you do have J.J. Stokes, and you got to make them fear that a little. And I think that's one of the problems when in fact, one of the players told me that when the 49ers lost Steve Young, their offense doesn't scare anyone anymore.
Well, Steve Young by himself scared a lot of people because he was such a great runner. In addition to throwing so well and utilizing those 3 wide receivers, those big guys that he has, Owens and Stokes and Rice.
And one thing that the 49ers were able to do in that first half we just saw was run the ball.
Steve Young looks bigger, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks a little heavier. He looks a little bigger above that belt. You know, he won't like me saying that. He maybe heard it. He's going to hide it with that park he's putting on now. But he was a heck of a player, and he was a tough guy, and fun to watch.
Short kick. Rams wisely fall on it. I can't figure what that's about.
I don't know if he's just hitting the ball too low. You can't believe that he's trying to do that because
I think he is.
Well, if it's a wind thing, you wouldn't kick it high because the wind's going to stop it. I could see it if it were the wind where he would kick it low, but where he just pops it up or pooches it or something.
I'll watch you. He doesn't follow all the way through. Watch. He just kind of.
I don't know. I don't think he means to do that. I wouldn't. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why he would do it.
I don't either. I don't see any reason to do it.
Well, other than that he's a kicker.
Well, you have a point. Pass is complete from Warner to Bruce.
One of the things we talked about, the 49ers not stretching the field. I don't feel that the Rams are either. I mean, I think that's one thing that they have to do. That they have their running game going. They got Marshall Faulk going. They have those short passes. But I think they got to stretch this defense. I mean, they're letting these corners off the hook.
This field is a little bit harder to stretch, I think, than one of artificial turf. Some of that speed goes away. This is Faulk. Close to a first down. Let's go down to the sideline. DJ Johnson.
Coach Vermeil at halftime said that what the 49ers didn't give him much problems in the first half. He said the problems they had were just penalties. In the second half, he said they're going to work the outside receivers a little bit more. He said they're not getting double covered as they thought they would. So in the second half, they expect to see a lot of passes to the outside receivers. Coach Mariucci, on the other hand, said his defense played well, and I think he's going to be less passive in this second half and actually go after the quarterback and make his cornerbacks play defense. Back to you, Pat.
All right. First down, Rams. Ball. Around the corner. Whoa. Ramos McDonald put it in reverse for Marshall Faulk.
I don't know that Marshall Faulk saw Ramos McDonald coming. Ramos McDonald is number 35. Faulk is making a move right there. Ramos McDonald is coming off a block, and he gets that right shoulder and forearm right underneath Marshall Faulk's shoulder pad.
That's the old leverage that you look for.
That's the way you want to be, is you always have to get underneath his shoulder pads, and you will always control the power.
Play. They throw it out to Faulk, who gets near and does get a first down at midfield.
That's a play that every team in the NFL is using now. It's kind of a quick option. They just fake it to the fullback one way and then pitch it out to the tailback the other way. And we've seen it, I think maybe the Raiders started that, but you can see the fullback goes this way and then they just pitch that way.
With no blockers.
You see right there, and then they just get this guy coming in. See, they make that end come in, and when they see him coming in like that, they're going to get right outside.
First and 10 Rams, 13-7 they lead. Two tight end setup. 49ers coming on a blitz. Warner has the ball deflected and incomplete.
The thing about this 49er pass rush, they haven't had much this year, but they're getting closer to Kurt Warner.
Bryant Young just came out.
And you can say that, Bryant Young is the guy that gets the pressure. He's on a stunt. He's the guy that gets his left hand up there. It looked like he got hit right after that.
Somebody rolled up right on his ankle.
Right after the play. As he came down, he got rolled up upon. Bryant Young, one of the best defensive linemen in all of football, even with a rod in his leg.
A courageous recovery he made.
Remember that injury on a Monday night football?
Faulk made about 6 people miss. That was hard-earned yardage.
Marshall Faulk was talking about Kurt Warner, and I said, what did you think when Kurt Warner became the starting quarterback. And Marshall Faulk said, all I thought is, how can this guy be the quarterback now when he's the guy that they were yelling at all the time?
Yeah.
He said what they do, this is an old coach's thing, you coach your starting quarterback through your backup quarterback by yelling at him.
That was before Trent Green got hurt.
Yeah, and Trent Green was a quarterback. Yeah. Kurt Warner was a backup, and they just yelled at him so that Trent Green could hear it, and now Kurt Warner's a starter, and they don't yell at him anymore.
Third down. Can't get rid of it, and now he does. The ball came loose. The 49ers might have it. If it's a fumble, they're saying he was down.
That was Winfred Tubbs. I think they blew the whistle because Winfred Tubbs had him and started to kind of spin him. And he started going backward. See, now he's looking to his left here. He's going to get the pressure from his right there. You see Winfred Tubbs is number 55, and unless they blew the whistle there, that should have been a fumble.
They must have blown the whistle because the Rams are punting. I didn't hear it. Moran punts for the sideline and gets it out of bounds a little before he'd like to have. The 49ers take over. The Rams leading 13-7, 11:03 left in the third. Somewhere in there is our six-legged turkey.
Well, yeah, that's its own house.
Yeah.
because you can't, when you have a couple extra legs, you need a place to put it. You just can't put it out there with all the rest because then they all want 6 legs.
Well, they should have it. So Jerry Rice.
That was Jerry Rice's first catch.
Yeah.
I was just going to mention that Jerry Rice hasn't caught a pass yet. We remember one earlier that he dropped, and we're going to see him here. He starts to the outside, uses that right hand to knock the defender off, and then gets to the inside. Jerry Rice was saying yesterday he saw a highlight film of himself. His wife gave him a birthday party, and he said, I used to prance. And he said, I used to watch myself. He said, I started to envy myself.
He could really run. Nothing there. Garner gets the carry right now. Let's go to Los Angeles. James Brown for an update.
Pat and John, take a look here. Dave Brown hands off to Adrian Morrell. Morrell pitches it back to Brown. On the road to the right, on the run, throws and finds Rob Moore. 21-yard strike. Dallas has had trouble holding on to second half leads. They now trail by 3. Back to Pat Summerall and John Matt.
We're back in San Francisco, the home of the 49ers, of course, as they face their longtime rival Ram opponents. Stenstrom back to throw it. The pass is picked off by Mike Jones. The linebacker, Mike Jones, still on his feet, dives, touchdown. He's in.
Mike Jones had a touchdown last week, too. That's one thing about these outside linebackers of the Rams. Both Todd Collins and Mike Jones, they're very, very good in pass defense.
And they can run, which makes them very good. 44 yards.
You see Mike Jones, he's number 52 here. He's just in a zone defense, and they were trying to throw the ball to tight end to Greg Clark. They just overthrew him. I mean, Mike Jones was just back there. He was squared up. He was watching. The ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage by DeMarco Farr, and then Mike Jones gets it and rubs it in for a touchdown.
The extra point's good. 20-7. Rams over the Niners. Turkeys?
No.
They're all outside.
Turkeys stay outside the barn. The feed stays inside.
Well, then they go inside.
Yeah, well, and they no. You bring the food from the out. You bring the food outside from the inside.
That sounds something like that elevator that stops and meets coming down.
I understand that. I mean, there's a lot of
Turkey you don't understand.
A lot of players, a lot of coaches, and I've been one of them that elevators never do go all the way to the top.
Now, that's what I've heard.
No, I understand that one too. And then I understand where you have one coming up. That's the mental part, and then you have as you play. Because if you play one down in the National Football League, you will never be normal physically the rest of your life. So that starts and comes down.
The whole thing is what? Is a Howie Long creation, right?
That's a Howie Long thought. I'm kind of running with it.
McWaters outside the 20 to the 22. Steve Young looking studious. Checks what's happening in front of him. 9.5 minutes left. Third quarter. The Rams over the 49ers 20-7. Downtown San Francisco. Or I guess from here it's uptown San Francisco. 20-7, the Rams lead the 49ers. Stenstrom gives to Garner. And lets again send you down to the sidelines, and DJ Johnson.
Feeling down here on the Rams sideline could be best described as cautious excitement. After that last touchdown, the defense came off, and they know this is the critical part of the game. When a team feels that it's desperate measures, they know they'll try anything. Could be trick plays, long passes, a variety of things. So the Rams defense knows what's going on. They know what's coming, and they know what happened to them a couple of weeks ago in Tennessee, and they fell behind. This is not over yet, and they know that. Back to you, Pat.
All right, DJ. Stenstrom back to throw. Outside to Fred Beasley, and Beasley uncovered. Roams up to the 45-yard line.
You know who's doing a pretty good job today is Derek Deese on Kevin Carter. Kevin Carter, got close a couple times on stunts, but Derek Deese, just in pass protection, you watch him here, he has to block Kevin Carter, and Deese does a pretty good job, and he's the side that he's throwing to, too. You see, he gets square, gets underneath him, just stays there with him, and gives Stenstrom just enough time to get rid of that ball. Derek Deese is a good player. I mean, he should be a guard, but, he's one of those guys that can play any place you need him.
Fake is to Garner, and
down goes Stenstrom. Down goes Stenstrom.
Jeff Ziganina.
Just watch the pressure here. You see they do a good job of keeping everyone to the outside. Then they just get the pressure right up the middle. And Stenstrom is looking. He's looking. You watch him. He comes on a play fake, and by the time he gets his hand up, and he looks to the right, and then he comes, and he's going to go right back in the middle, and it's too late.
Jeff Ganina with the sack. Stenstrom throws incomplete. Intended Rice.
You think of Jerry Rice, and we're not seeing the Jerry Rice that we were watching for 15 years.
Nowhere near.
Of course, it was that injury, and he even says, I wonder, what it would be if he didn't have the injury. He said because what the injury did is obviously, he had 2 knee surgeries. And you can see there, he just took his eyes off the ball and started looking for the defender. But he said it also took away his training, where he wasn't able to train like he used to, and that was such a big part of Jerry Rice's football.
Third down blitz coming. Ball batted up in the air, incomplete.
I think that interception, of course, first of all, you have to give credit on that interception to DeMarco Farr. I mean, he got in there, got his hands up, got it up in the air, then Mike Jones got it and got it for the touchdown. But I think that fired up this Ram defense. I mean, I think now they know that they can get pressure. Now they got the lead, and they're playing downhill, and they're making the 49ers play uphill.
Hakeem is back deep. The punt by Stanley. This is a returnable one.
If he can get a handle on it.
Gets it right bounce. He's still going. Outside the 40, about the 45, where the Rams will take over.
He might have got one and a half left.
The Rams 20, the 49ers 7, 13 left in the third quarter. Got back. Fall.
backwards, forwards, sideways. That was one of the things that the Rams do a lot of, though, that we saw in that play. You had a shift, then you had motion, and that wants, just take the defense off a little where they don't get completely set or completely aligned, and then you hit them quickly with the play.
Offense, number 73, 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
Of course, you can't have that. 73 is right there, the right tackle, Fred Miller. Now, you can get your hands outside, but you have to bring them inside. And you see what happened there. He had his left hand outside the plane, and he brought that hand down. He left it out there.
So it's 1st and 20. Bruce makes the catch. Got half of it back.
Like that when a wide receiver like Isaac Bruce runs a slant. That's a tough pattern to run, because we talked about earlier, you have to get inside the corner, and then once you run inside, you know that there's going to be a whole bunch of people in there.
You start ducking.
There's always going to be a safety, and then there's going to be linebackers.
And they all want to hit you as hard as they can.
Right, and they see you coming, and they can really unload on you.
Flags, ball again.
To the snap, false start, offense, the left guard, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
It's old Tom Newton. You wonder why they say prior to the snap they move. Well, if they didn't move prior to the snap, it wouldn't be a penalty anyway, would it? You look at Dick Vermeil there, and look at his penalties, and that's one of the things that he told DJ Johnson that bothered him, and did. In that first half, they had a couple of drives going, and they'd make a play, then get a penalty, and then not be able to make another play.
It looked like a lot of yards, but there are some key penalties in there. That's Hakeem, who's back just across midfield. Warner.
We talked about Kurt Warner and having that quick release, and you can just see, he doesn't bring that ball. I mean, it's just right up here, and it's just right out every time. Just watch when he just brings it back here. I mean, it's just right there and then right out. That's the 49ers calling a timeout.
They couldn't get lined up correctly. Gabe Wilkins got really upset last week, and he's headed that way again. On Fox is 2.5, looks like. Right at midfield. Bruce goes in motion. Warner back to throw it. That's caught outside by Isaac Bruce.
That was the same type of thing that they had on the touchdown pass, where it's a little sprint out or roll out by the quarterback, and you're going to see Warner come here, and then he's just going to come to the right, and Isaac Bruce is going to the same side. See, he rolls to this side. Isaac Bruce is running an out to the side of the roll, and he just hits him right in stride. You can see that, that the wetness starting to come up, and that turf is getting slicker, but Kurt Warner made a nice move and a nice throw to Isaac Bruce.
The field is engulfed in shadows now. It's getting cooler. Will there be more slipping? That's to Bruce. Not to Holt. Beg your pardon. Incomplete.
Ramus McDonald was right there. Remember when first game of the season we did the Minnesota Vikings and we saw Ramus McDonald. He was the starting corner for the Minnesota Vikings. They waived him. The 49ers claimed him, and he had good coverage there. But watch it. It's going to go right through his hands and into Holt's hands and then out of Holt's hands.
Couldn't hang on.
I think Kurt Warner saw that too. I mean, because Ramus McDonald had good position. And the ball went through his hands.
They will take some shots. Ball. Picked up about 8.
Yeah, I think think when you ask the definition of a pro football player, I think that's Marshall Faulk. I mean, he does it all because, the things that we see here, I mean, we see him run and we see him, catch passes, and watch here how he gets the extra yard. I mean, 90% of the backs in this league would just run out of bounds right there. But he stops, he plants, and he gets that extra yard. He should have got an extra 2 yards to get a first down. It's so easy now to run out of bounds. Remember, there was a day that backs never ran out of bounds. Now it seems just to be a way that they play. Way too much running out of bounds.
You take too much abuse if you run out of bounds. Here comes reverse. That's Hope. Hope does get the first down to the 49er 27-yard line.
And, I mean, at least Torrey Holt ran out of bounds, but he had the first down before he ran out of bounds. And like I said, that was something that years ago you didn't do. I mean, I always think of the great Walter Payton. And
he didn't do it.
No, he never ran out of bounds. I mean, he just, at some point, he would just cut back in and go. And Steve Young there. When we talked to him yesterday, and I think he feels right now he's not going to play this year, but he doesn't want to make a decision yet on whether he'll ever play again.
Falk straight ahead to near the 20.
The Rams are getting it back now. They're getting it back, and the way you get control again is, I think the control started when they got that pass interception for a touchdown, but now you just get that running game going. In fact, that was what Dick Vermeil was saying last night, that he would like to get some points on the board, get that going, and then go to the running game.
2nd and 5. Falk is the deep back.
Oops.
Here come the penalty markers. A lot of pointing from the San Francisco defenders at the Ram offensive lineman.
I would bet it's against the Rams just because Bryant Young jumped.
Offense, number 62.
Because I think number 62
remains, second down.
Adam Timmerman, and you're going to see him. He's the right guard there. But when you see Bryant Young, I mean, he is so quick. He doesn't jump off sides, and he has to see something move, and then he goes. When I saw it was Bryant Young who jumped, I would say that it was the Rams who moved, because Bryant Young is a very good, very disciplined football player. He doesn't do stupid things.
Makes it 2nd and 10. Excuse me, John. Hakeem was the man in motion. Chase is wanted. They were trying to screen to him right now for an update. Let's go to James Brown in Los Angeles.
A 30-yard pass from Jim Miller to Marcus Robinson helped set up this 3-yard run by Curtis Enos to pay dirt. Chicago has also had 2 touchdowns called back, but they lead it by a touch over San Diego. Pat and John.
Garcia getting ready.
After Steve Young got hurt, Jeff Garcia was the starting quarterback. In fact, the first game he started, they won against Tennessee. And then he started to slip and lose confidence, so they made the change. But Steve Mariucci did say yesterday he wants to play Jeff Garcia today.
3rd and 10. This is Warner from behind by Chiki Okorafor.
It happened on that play. It wasn't good coverage, but you're going to see both of his receivers fall down. You see, we saw the slip there and then the slip at the right, and he didn't have anyone to throw to.
Horan comes in. He is the holder, and Jeff Wilkins will try from about 49 yards out.
I wonder if he's going to put... We see Steve Stenstrom there standing next to Mariucci. We also saw Jeff Garcia warming up.
That's going to get there. And it's good. That's a pretty good kick with the wind conditions like they are. All things being equal, who's got the best short game?
In fact, the bus is leaving for Detroit right after this game, right from this stadium. We're going to pull out here, go up 80, go up through the Sierras, and then we're going to go across, through Nevada, Utah, Wyoming.
Gosh, I wish I could go with you.
Iowa, Nebraska, then Iowa, Illinois, and up into Michigan.
You'll have a lot of stories by the time I see you in Detroit.
Stories about what?
All those things you just talked about.
No, I mean, you can go through like Nevada, and then you go through Iowa and Nebraska and Utah, and you see nothing. I mean, you can go
Nebraska. You see football players, I know.
Yeah, Big Red. I mean, that's a whole state. But I mean, you only see them for a little clump.
Yeah.
You see a lot of farms.
A lot of silos, I bet.
A lot of silos. A lot of tallow.
Mark Harris. There's a bright orange monster over the field today. The Monster.com blimp is bringing us these magnificent views from the sky. Monster.com is the leading global careers website, offering opportunities from intern to CEO.
Right, and then the blimp is watching Jeff Garcia come on the field now.
He's an intern.
Yeah, well, he's a local guy. You know, I mean, Jeff Garcia is, from the South Bay. He went to school at San Jose State, played up in Canada, and then came back. Bill Walsh always liked him.
Gets away from one chaser. Incomplete the pass.
There's some collisions and stuff going on down there. I think we lost a guy. I think a guy went in. It was one of the Rams went right into the wall. Maybe into a dugout or something.
Hit one of our guys.
Knocked his parts off. Get his stuff back on. That's staying with it, though.
Yeah. I wonder if he got all the stuff back together.
Well, we'll be able to hear it or not hear it.
2nd and 10. Just over 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Garner gets the carry. And Charlie Garner gets near a 49er first down, tackled by Billy Jenkins.
Steve Stenstrom there, Pat, we can see was 7 out of 12 for 108 yards and 1 interception, and really just didn't get anything going. I mean, I don't think it was Steve Stenstrom's fault. No. I just think that the Rams are just playing better than the 49ers today. The Rams are a better team than the 49ers are. I think this was planned. I mean, I had the feeling yesterday, talking to Steve Mariucci, that one way or another he wanted to play Jeff Garcia today.
3rd and 1. First down. Fred Beasley rambles up to the 45.
I think that's the first 3rd down that they picked up. They were, before that, the 49ers were 0 for 6 on 3rd downs. One thing I'd like to do, though, is one of the great coaches of the San Francisco 49ers over the years was Bob McKittrick.
Yep.
Bob McKittrick was there. I mean, he was the one constant that through all the years in the 49ers championship, he was there for 21 years. He's been the line coach of the San Francisco 49ers.
And he worked magic with the offensive line that he produced with sometimes not a lot of talent.
No, and he worked miracles. I mean, he is one of the great assistant coaches in football, and he did it when Joe Montana was there, when Steve Young was there, and he had surgery yesterday. Yeah. He has cancer, and he had a problem where they had to do a bypass from his stomach and intestine. They did that yesterday, and the surgery went well. And, he's feeling fine. In fact, he's watching the game right now, and we just want to send our best to the old line coach, Bob McKittrick.
That's Bob at B-O-B-B.
Yep, with 2 B's.
There's Garcia, pulls it down, and he goes down. The Rams come up with the ball. Kevin Carter wound up with it.
I heard a whistle, though. I mean, the whistle was either before Kevin Carter got it or after Kevin Carter got it. The rule here is whether his arm is going forward or not.
By St. Louis, contacted on the ground after recovery. Then he bobbled it a second time. First down.
They're saying it is a fumble. Kevin Carter's number 93 right there coming up the middle. The arm wasn't going forward. Kevin Carter, geez, that's a heck of a job. He gets Garcia, knocks him down, then gets up, and they say that he had contact someplace there. Unless it was by Jeff Garcia, I didn't see it.
Had to be.
It had to be when Jeff Garcia was down there that he touched his foot or ankle, but that's a heck of a play by Kevin Carter.
That's where they marked the ball back there.
First of all, getting there, then knocking the ball out, then picking the ball up, and then running with the ball. He's a heck of a player.
He's doing very well and getting better. Here's Falk. Out of bounds.
Oh, Adam Timmerman, that was the same play we showed earlier. Adam Timmerman, the right guard, pulled on that one. In fact, he got a couple. Kevin Carter, he's still celebrating there.
He said that one was for you, Mom.
Watch Timmerman here. I mean, he's going to pull. Now Marsh Falk wants to get right in behind him. See, he gets a block there, and then he goes after and gets a second one. He slowed Ken Norton Jr. down just enough to let Marshall Falk get outside. Timmerman's playing well today.
And that's the end of the third quarter with score the Rams 23 to 49ers 7. Fox NFL Sunday from San Francisco will continue after a word from your local Fox station. Back in San Francisco, Warner back in the pocket, up the middle, intercepted at the goal line by Lance Schulters. Schulters, who'd been out with a bad ankle, might be back with a bad ankle.
Lance Schulters was the guy that made him get rid of Merton Hanks. For years, Merton Hanks was a starting free safety, and Lance Schulters is one of those guys who's a big hitter and has a good feel for the game. And you can see here, he just gets a jump. They were going to Marshall Falk. He just gets a jump on that thing, and it looks like right there at the end, he's going to take that shot. That was Oz Hakeem. Watch, Hakeem is number 81. He comes in and makes that tackle and has that left leg, and it gets caught up underneath Schulters. Oh, and then he does the splits. He has a lot of things going there. Watch Hakeem. Pretty good hustle by Hakeem.
I hate to think I got hit in that position.
Well, we're playing in Candlestick with a Napa Valley theme today, huh?
A lot of grapes.
That Art Spander, a Bay Area writer here, was just telling me that Dick Vermeil, some guy's making a Vermeil wine. Really? 750 cases of Vermeil wine. Chardonnay.
Pass from Garcia to Rice. Right now for an update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat, they'll have to pass out some Chardonnay to the Skins defense. Take a look at Ndikwe Kalu, the fastest lineman, slaps that ball loose. Who recovers it? But Marco Coleman, 42 yards of pay dirt. Skins with a little breathing room by 14 over the Giants in the fourth. Back to Pat Summerall and John Madden.
Boy, you don't hear many good things about the Redskin defense, do you?
But doesn't it seem like big old linemen are making a lot of touchdowns this year? It seems like every game you see some big old defensive lineman running for a touchdown. We almost had one from Kevin Carter there.
Fred Beasley, flag on the play as Beasley doesn't quite get to the first down marker. Now, if they're making a Dick Vermeil wine, why wouldn't they make, in this area, a John Madden?
No, it's not a Dick Vermeil. It's for his father or grandfather. I mean, it's not about him. It's the family name. I mean, they're making it for the Vermeil family because his family was from the Napa Valley, or is from the Napa Valley.
Well,
and they were talking.
From Daly City.
Art Spander was down there, and they was talking to Bill Walsh was down there, and they were talking about wine and making wine. That's what they do.
They make wine in Daly City?
No. Yeah, they make it with their feet and put it in a barrel. In Colma. In Colma, everyone had a... Colma's
There is
right.
no foul on the play. The receiver coming off the sideline was recognized and covered by the defense. Therefore, no foul. The play stands, third down.
What they were saying is that, you know, when you come in from the sideline, you have to come in and let the defense know that you're in. You can't, you know, do that old sideline trip.
Sleeper.
The old sleeper.
Yeah.
Oh, that was an Army thing, wasn't it? Who was the lonesome? Didn't they have a lonesome man?
Yeah, Bob Carpenter.
Carpenter.
Yeah.
And then he used to always stay out there and not go to the huddle, right?
That's right.
Then you didn't know if he was in the game or out of the game.
Well, they found out that the quarterback was sending him signals with his feet. Garcia gets the first down for San Francisco.
Garcia knew where that yellow line was, and he couldn't go feet first because it's third down, and he's going for a first down. You know, I mean, you know that if a quarterback goes feet first, you can't hit him, but then you don't get the spot either. Garcia needed that spot. He almost lost a whole bunch of things right there.
He did. He got a first down, however. Rams leading 23-7. Opening minutes of the final quarter. Garcia fakes and throws. And Owens is inside the 20 before he's taken out by Todd Light.
And that's what you have to do. You have to get the ball to Terrell Owens. And you can see here's McLean, and he's giving him too much cushion there. And then he gets him turned around. Terrell Owens started the outside. McLean gets turned around, and then he comes back to the inside. And Jeff Garcia throws a pretty good pass to him.
36 yards they picked up.
If they had a guy that could get it to him, and Terrell Owens is healthy, he's one of the best receivers in all of football. Whoops.
Bad exchange.
This is one of the problems with, you know, changing quarterbacks, because Steve Strenstrom also had that problem earlier, and then Garcia comes in and has the same thing, and that shouldn't happen. You know, in any level, that shouldn't happen in high school. It shouldn't happen in college. I mean, that ought to be the exchange between the center and the quarterback should be automatic.
Second and 11. Garcia taken down by London Fletcher. First time we've mentioned his name today. Let's go down to DJ Johnson right now.
Bad break once again for defensive back Lance Schulters. Schulters is a guy that before the game, defensive back coach Greg Brown talked about as a potential All-Pro. He was leading the league in interceptions before he got hurt and missed the past 3 games. Even with missing 3 games, he's still tied for the league and lead in interceptions. Right now, he re-injured the same ankle. It's a high ankle sprain. He will not be back today. The doctors will check him out and make his prognosis for next week. Back to you, Pat.
Third and 22. Garcia intercepted at about the 2-yard line by Devin Bush.
Devin Bush was starting today for Keith Lyle. The Rams got Devin Bush to be a strong safety, and he never beat out Billy Jenkins. So they got him, they paid him a lot of money, and he didn't start until Keith Lyle was hurt. And Devin Bush is starting today as a free safety, but he's normally a strong safety. You're going to watch the interception here, Devin Bush. And again, in a play like this, you say, well, it was third down. If you just knock it down, then they have to come back and do something on fourth down, and maybe he should have knocked it down and intercept. There's no way. Devin Bush did exactly what he had to do.
Marshall Faulk gets him out to about the 4.
It is a turnover. The Rams do get the ball. It's not the field position you want, but it's still a big turnover. You know, someone can say, well, he should have knocked it down, but then you don't know what they're going to do on fourth down. You know, you don't want to give them any chance you have to get the ball and you're on defense. You have to take it.
Right now, the Ram offensive unit concerned with giving their punter a little breathing room to get him off that back end zone line.
Your first goal is to get beyond the 5-yard line.
Well, they did that. Isaac Bruce Tonight on Fox, a string of bizarre murders lead agents Mulder and Scully on the search for a predator with an appetite for human flesh. The X-Files. An all-new episode tonight at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Fox. 3rd and 1. So they accomplished part of their...
And now the next goal was to get the first down.
Tim McDonald
has been the one constant in that secondary. We talk about how many changes they've had, and they've had 7 different corners play. We talked about Lance Schulters and how he'd been out, just came back today as a free safety. Zach Bronson had been playing there, and the one guy that had been in the secondary the whole time was Tim McDonald, 13-year veteran who's been one of the tough guys. I mean, he's one of those guys that if you're going to run or pass, you better know where he is.
McWaters has taken his place. 3rd and a yard. Pass is caught by Isaac Bruce. He had to spin around and take it with one hand, but he did it.
And that's the confidence that the Rams have in their passing game, because 90% of the teams in the National Football League, when you're 3rd and 1 in that situation, this is a run situation. You're going to run the ball. Here they just come out fake and just throw it out to Isaac Bruce. That's a heck of a catch. Yeah. I mean, he's going backwards, and he just sticks his right hand out there and makes a one-handed catch.
And they move the sticks.
Isaac Bruce is a superstar. He's a good guy, too. I like Isaac Bruce. I've always liked him since he came into this league.
Here's another superstar, Marshall Faulk.
It's something that every player you talk to, every Ram player you talk to, and every coach, when you would say, what's the biggest difference from last year to this year, and where the Rams struggled the last few years, and this year that they have the best record in the NFC, they all point to that guy right there. So it's Marshall Faulk.
Most of the guys were there last year. The quarterback and the running back. They made a big difference.
And that's, I think if you are going to say, why are the Rams so good, I think you start with those 2 guys.
2nd and 4. Faulk again. Hammers it out to the 35-36 where he's knocked out of bounds.
I can hear Dick Vermeil over in the sideline saying, great job, great job. Dick Vermeil is one of those fundamental coaches, and a fundamental coach loves this, to see good blocking, your line handle their line, good running by a running back, getting first downs, controlling the ball in the 4th quarter, all the things, coming off the goal line on this drive, doing all the things that they're doing. This is what you want. This is the perfect thing right here.
And McDonald, the word from the 49ers is has a right hamstring problem. Flag on the play. Dick Vermeil said something last night when we were meeting with him, talking with him. When he's talking about one of his players.
Snap. False start.
False start here.
Number 61. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Something I thought was very true, and is very true in a lot of sports. His fundamentals haven't become habits yet, where he doesn't have to think about it.
Yeah, and he was talking about Orlando Pace.
Yeah.
He was saying that you have to get in. I mean, Orlando Pace is a big 6'7", 320-pound left tackle, and he said that he hasn't gotten the fundamentals yet, where they're just every day,
where you don't have to think about it. That's complete. Roland Williams, the tight end. A short completion.
Yeah, we're talking about Orlando Pace. Here he is right here. 6'7", 320 pounds. There's Newton there. They do. Newton does a pretty good job right there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just takes this guy and puts him on the ground. They just get that whole line slide. Jim Hannafin has always coached that type of thing, where they just all work. The whole 5 offensive line all kind of work as one.
We're talking about Bob McKittrick and what a great line coach he is. So is Jim Hannafin.
Two great line coaches in this game.
Pass is caught by Falk, dropped by Falk. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stenner and directed by Sandy Grossman. The associate director is Mike Roig. Broadcast associates are Charles McDonald and Mark Mata. Technical producer is Jeff Court. Pre-game show is produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. Senior producer is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. And by the way, Bob Stenner, our astute producer, is headed for what I consider to be a big honor, to be asked to the induction of Wayne Gretzky, the hockey great, into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, congratulations to Wayne Gretzky.
Warner gets rid of it, flag on the play.
But there was no suspense in that one, was it? I mean, I think the second that you heard that Wayne Gretzky was going to retire, you could put him in the Hall of Fame then. And Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player of all time.
Yeah, all they had to do was clear out a stall.
In fact, they started to do it earlier, I think. And then,
illegal use of the hands. Number 24 defense.
He and Bob are good friends.
5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Bob, I think, is scrambling for a dark suit right now.
Well, you don't have to wear a dark suit. I mean, I don't think a Hall of Fame induction is that type of thing. I think you got to wear a suit. I mean, you got to kind of cover up the manure a little, but it doesn't have to be a dark suit.
Well, there are certain functions where you have to have a dark suit.
Yeah, but not a hockey Hall of Fame. You don't. No, I called Canada.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and they said no, you don't have to have a dark suit for a hockey Hall of Fame. Look at Kurt Warner today. His rating is 65.7. Coming into this game, it was 117.
Yeah. But there's one in the W column, it appears. 6:46 left.
To San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your
Players were listening to "If You're Going to San Francisco."
Yeah, sometimes you think of this team and you think about Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt and Marshall Falk and what Kurt Warner's doing, and you forget that the offensive line does a pretty good job too. I'm impressed with that group.
I'm sure that if you talk with Dick Vermeil after the game, he'll say we didn't play our best game, but we won. And after all, that's the 8th win of the year, and that's pretty good.
Been a long time since they've won here.
1980, since they swept the series. Robert Holcomb.
Before the game, we had a visitor up here, and there he is, J.T. Snow, Giants player, and there's his dad, Jack Snow. Remember Jack Snow?
Sure.
He's the Ram announcer now. He was a Ram receiver.
And a good one.
Years ago, and J.T. Snow is a heck of a player. He won a Gold Glove. He won 5 Gold Gloves. And so this is kind of his home too. I mean, his field I'm talking about.
Won't be anymore.
No, they got a whole new ball field going on downtown.
2nd and 7 has Bruce in motion. Bruce makes the catch, knocked out of bounds. He is just about like Jerry Rice used to be, unstoppable.
Yeah, and the thing that the Rams do with him that is smart is they move him around. They don't say, okay, he's going to be the left end all the time. I mean, he's outside right, he's outside left, he's in the slot, he's the move guy. And we were talking to him about that last night. He said that's what he wanted to do. He just didn't want to be a one-dimensional wide receiver. In fact, he said he used to study Chris Carter, the way Chris Carter played in the slot. And that's who he wants to play like when he's in the slot.
Well, if he can do that, that's great. That's Falk. He slipped in the backfield, and he didn't get the first down as a result.
No, he slipped before he got the ball. I mean, he slipped coming out of his stance. And that's the thing. I mean, you have to get that thing running downhill, and when you don't get a good start, you're not going to have him. Watch him. He's right here. You see that first step? He started to put his right foot back and just went boom, just right out from under him. And there's no chance of getting the first down with that.
Mike Horan.
Maybe that's why on that last 3rd and short they threw the ball. Maybe they should have thrown that one.
40 years old, the punter. Left-footed.
A week ago, Dick Vermeil brought him in. They thought he was a janitor.
Yeah. Kicks away, kicks it out of the end zone. They'll bring it back. Looks rather distinguished. He didn't look like anything but a football player. Don't forget Thanksgiving Day, the Bears and the Lions, the six-legged turkey.
Here, and we got one. See, we got a house for our turkey, and
he's in there.
They haven't learned to stay away. Don't bother the turkey when he's in his house. Look at that. See, you get close to him. He's getting a little upset now.
I saw one of his legs flash out of there. Jerry Rice makes the catch.
You know, if the 49ers lose today, they won't win 10 games, and that'll end their streak at 16 years. For 16 straight years, the 49ers have won 10 games or more.
Remarkable.
And if they lose today, they're not going to win 10 games.
There's 6 consecutive losses as well.
And to me, it was all about great quarterbacking. They went right from Joe Montana to Steve Young, and they always had superior quarterbacking.
Garcia, he's going to take off with it. And get out, knocked out of bounds. Devin Bush.
If we look since 1980, you can see that they've had 5 Super Bowl titles, 5 Super Bowl appearances, of course, 10 NFC championship appearances, 13 division titles. They've gone 17 seasons with 10 or more wins.
And along the way, there are a lot of individual titles and records that go with Montana and Young.
And Jerry Rice.
And Jerry Rice, yes. Unmatched.
And I think Jerry Rice is the best wide receiver that ever played the game.
Passes to Owens. Terrell Owens has been hurt. Big, strong wide receiver.
And Terrell Owens on this team right now is the best wide receiver.
Yep.
And the tough thing about Terrell Owens and Jerry Rice is they don't have the quarterback to get them the ball.
That's to the tight end, Greg Clark.
How about Greg Clark? I mean, isn't that something? Remember, he had 5 broken ribs. So he's going to play in Minnesota with 5 broken ribs. So they go to shoot him, give him the injection to block it, the Novocaine, and then the needle goes in and punctures his lung. So he plays against Minnesota with 5 broken ribs and a punctured lung. They had to take him to the hospital. He had to stay in Minnesota after that. And then he came back home and recovered.
Looks healthy now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, everything is healed up, but the thing that would make him more healthy, and he talks about this, he'd like to catch more passes and be more involved in this offense.
1st and 15. The cover man fell down. Pass is deflected and almost intercepted by Todd Light.
Yeah, if Todd Light gets that one, it's going to be another touchdown for the Rams. Steve Young, it has to be tough for Steve Young to, just the finality of not playing anymore is difficult, and I don't think he's ready to accept that yet.
You can argue forever about who was better, Steve Young or Joe Montana, but there was never a more exciting quarterback who ran with the ball than Steve Young.
Well, and there were years when they didn't have real good runners, and I used to say Steve Young was their best passer and best runner.
He was. From behind. Little made the stop.
And that was the reason. I mean, you look at, just having great quarterbacks, and this is a quarterback league. And if you're going to be a good team or a dominant team, you have to have great quarterbacking. And the 49ers were blessed with Joe Montana and Steve Young, with two guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame. In fact, I would bet that Joe Montana is up for it this year, and he'll be a Hall of Famer this year.
I wonder if Bob Zinner will get invited.
No.
Tried a lateral, and
there's a guy that causes a heck of a lot of problems, that DeMarco Farr.
Yeah.
He's in there. He's a defensive tackle. He's undersized, but he has real good quickness. And he's always getting penetration. He's always in there. He's always making things happen. You see him right here. He's coming on a stunt. He starts inside, then he goes to the outside, and you can see he feels Garcia there, and then he just waits for him. Jeff Garcia started to lose the ball himself when he was switching hands.
Garcia back to throw. Does throw. Picked off. Dexter McLean.
Yep, that's that interception. He almost threw one to play before it to Todd Light. And right here, he throws it to Dexter McLean. Look at the turnovers the Rams have had today. There's one. Here's the touchdown with Mike Jones. This is a very aggressive defense that not only stops plays but makes things happen.
And they don't appear. Maybe they will when things in the game situation change, but they don't blitz a lot.
No, they don't, because they have a very good front four. We talked about DeMarco Farr. We talked about Kevin Carter. Grant Wistrom is the other end. I really like him. He has a motor, goes like heck. Ray Agnew. That front four does a great job.
The man in motion fell down. That's Holcomb.
You know what impresses me about those two defensive ends, Wistrom and Kevin Carter, is they're smart guys.
Yeah. Well, all of them we talked to.
Well, Grant Wistrom in high school had a grade point average of 3.95. Kevin Carter's grade point average was 3.75. And, you always kind of think of football, big old linemen, they don't go to class or anything. But when you get, these guys were academic All-Americans.
Yep.
And, there are a lot of smart guys, a lot of players that have achieved in the classroom, too. And I think when you get guys like Kevin Carter and Grant Wistrom, I think that has to be mentioned. I think when you look at role models, you can be a great football player. They were both #1 draft choices, both of these guys, and they were both academic All-Americans, both bright guys.
And it helps in this game to be mentally sharp as well.
And it helps in life after this game.
Yes, it does.
Both of them want to be pharmacists, as a matter of fact. We talk about Steve Young. Steve Young is an attorney.
He's already
Steve Young went to law school, graduated law school, passed the bar. He is an attorney.
That's Holcomb again. Right at midfield. Marshall Faulk getting a rest, a well-deserved rest.
That's a place that, when things are really going well and
where you keep your mouthpiece,
you're an old defensive lineman, you always either stick it in your ear or on your ear. It depends on, towards the end of the game, you stick it on your ear. Early in the game, you just stick it in your ear. But when things are going well, you always keep your mouthpiece in your ear.
Now, do you wash it before you put it back in your mouth?
No, because it's yours.
Yeah.
If you took your mouthpiece and stuck it in someone else's ear, then you have to wash it. But as long as you keep it on your person, then you don't have to wash it. You just kind of keep it there and mix in all the other stuff.
That's the key.
These Rams are, I think they're the real deal. And, at some point you have to say that they're the best team in the NFC. And I think this is a point to say it, that they are the best team in the NFC. And if you had to pick a favorite to go to the championship game and maybe win the championship game, it would have to be the St. Louis Rams.
Their record is 8-2, and next to them with the best record, their three teams: Detroit, Minnesota, and Tampa Bay.
Everyone's having
6-4.
Everyone's having trouble in that AFC figuring out who's the best over there. They change that one weekly.
Right. 2 minutes left. Go. R.W. McWatters fields the punt or lets it bounce. If you love a good scare, tune in to Fox Tuesday night for the network television premiere of Scream. Scream on a special night, Tuesday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. St. Louis, the Rams 23, the 49ers 7, and here come the Birds. How do they know? Did you ever tell me how?
No, I don't know. I've never figured that out.
Hey, on the mic, Morton.
There's a happy coach and a happy quarterback, huh?
Garcia is the 49er quarterback. Rice was the man in motion. The pass is to Owen. To Stokes, I beg your pardon.
You know something? When the Rams win today, they're going to be 5-0 in the division. And a year ago, they were 0-8 in their division, and that's where you start. I mean, you don't start talking about winning Super Bowls and all that stuff. You start talking about winning your division,
controlling your division. Greg Clark makes the catch. Minute 20 left.
Here we're talking about Grant Wistrom and the way he plays, and watching him on film, he reminds me a lot of an old Ram defensive lineman, Fred Dreyer.
Yeah.
And he plays like Fred. Has that motor running all over the place. Will take it inside, will take it outside, do all those things.
Beasley, the receiver.
49ers are still going to be looking for a quarterback. They had Jeff Hostetler in this week, and they may look at him again. He made a He said after that, he'll talk to him again, maybe there at the end of the season or maybe next year. But I don't think these two quarterbacks here, Steve Stenstrom or Jeff Garcia, 3 weeks. He said after that, he'll talk to him again, maybe there at the end of the season or maybe next year. But I don't think these two quarterbacks here, Steve Stenstrom or Jeff Garcia, are the answer. I don't think Jeff Hostetler's the answer. And that's what Steve Mariucci is faced with. He has a 5-year contract.
They got other problems to talk about too.
Well, yeah, I mean that salary cap. I mean they had a whole bunch they had to get under this year. They're going to have to do it again next year and not have a quarter. There's going to be some lean years for this 49er team.
Garcia up the middle for Owens. London Fletcher is sort of the catalyst of the Ram defense. Garcia scrambles, throws, incomplete. Intended for Stokes. 10 seconds left.
Well, this is going to be a good week. I always feel that you kind of get in position between the beginning of the season and Thanksgiving, and then from Thanksgiving on is where you make your move for your championship, and you want to be peaking as you go into the playoffs. And this is kind of the week where it starts. This weekend, then we do the Thanksgiving Day game, and then next weekend, and then everything starts to make sense as to where it's going to go.
There are those who think that the 4 teams that play on Thanksgiving Day have an advantage because they get then 10 days of rest.
And that's probably true if you're a good team and if you're healthy.
The Rams win their 8th. This is Pat Summerall for John Madden saying so long from San Francisco. Right now we're going to take you to bonus coverage of a Dallas-Arizona game with Sam Rosen and Bill Maas.